Hey BookTube, this is Friday Reads. I'm Jen and I talk about audiobooks, and not much to tell you about this week. I had a lot of stuff going on where people had to come in and talk to me a lot. So, you know, anytime you're doing that, you're either pulling your earbuds out and going, what? Or, you know, you just can't get a continuous space of time where you listen for a long time and can get through a book. So I don't know. I think that's probably going to change in the next week or so. So thank goodness for that, because I'll get some more reading done. But let me tell you about the books I read. The first was Quantum Coin, which is book 2 in the Coin duology by E.C. Myers, narrated by MacLeod Andrews. And I love MacLeod Andrews. He's perfect for this kind of a book because he is able to do like a 17-year-old guy who isn't quite sure of himself all the time, and you know, he just does that so well. He's a great actor, and that translates for him into voice acting really, really well. So loved that. This book, the story, is about a coin that works in conjunction with something that looks like a cell phone, like a flip phone, and it will transport you to an alternate world. Well, the whole story operates on the idea of the multiverse, where, you know, we make a choice and so the world splits and goes off like in another dimension. Another world exists where that choice was made and instead of this choice. And so what ends up happening in this book is that worlds are starting to merge together. And while they may do that on their own from time to time, it's kind of on a level that it needs to be stopped. And so this guy and his friends have to save the world. So they do. Interesting concept, interesting the way it played out. I think this was better than the first book. I liked it a lot. One of the things I liked was that the main love interest is Asian. And so that was refreshing. Beautiful Asian girl, you know. There was some other diversity going on. And so I appreciated that the author paid attention to that and put it in a real world setting where, you know, there are cultural differences and we all don't look alike. And yeah, I appreciated that. So overall, I liked it a lot. I thought there was a lot of good action. I think actually what really did it for me and moved me to give this book 4 stars was the fact that it was well narrated and that the premise was really well thought out. I like that a lot. And you know, the writing was so-so, but yeah, 4-star book. Good YA kind of, you know, sci-fi story. So I followed that up with Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Jill Mansell. This is narrated by Alison Larkin, and it is a British kind of rom-com. I thought this was very well narrated, and I was glad that they did it in the style that I liked, because sometimes you get these books that are narrated in such a way that the narrator sounds like a BBC newscaster, and I hate that. But this was not that at all. This was done very well with Alison Larkin. My only hesitation, it really wasn't a problem that I had with the narration, but my hesitation was that there's a baby in this story and the baby makes a lot of baby noises. And so you had Alison Larkin doing these baby noises. And to be honest, I think she did them about as well as they could have been done. At the same time, it was an adult person doing baby noises. So, you know, you kind of had to suspend your disbelief. I'm not sure how they could have done that differently. Maybe gotten real baby noises and then put those into the production, I guess. I don't know. This is a story that I thought was going to be about a guy who ends up having to take custody of his sister's 8-month-old when his sister dies unexpectedly. And a woman in a very small town in England who is a cartoonist, and they become neighbors. And I thought it was just going to be about them, but really this is an ensemble cast in terms of who the characters are and what things get focused on. So I didn't expect that. And yet I think in this kind of a story that's very common, so it moved kind of slowly for me because I kept expecting for these 2 main characters who you're introduced to at the beginning. I expected that romance to move along a little faster than it did. I mean, it takes the entire book to get resolved, and that's okay. It's just not what I expected. I didn't expect a lot of these other characters to, you know, so much attention to be focused in on what was going on with them. So, I don't know. Overall, I gave it 3 stars. I think that it is good for what it is, but you, as an American going in, you have to know what to expect, and I didn't know what to expect, or at least my expectations were different. And so on that front, you know, it's like that plus, I don't know. Just overall, I liked it okay. I think if you like this kind of thing, you will really like this. But yeah, for me, it was just okay. And then I followed that up with Eversea, which is book 1 in the Butler Cove series by Natasha Boyd, narrated by Georgina Marie and Jonathan McLean. I loved this book. I loved it so much. This is so well done. Georgina Marie really just interpreted all of the scenes in this book, which were already written really well. She just raised them up even more in the way that she interpreted them. And I was entertained just all, you know, the whole story long. It was wonderful. So Jonathan McLean has a very tiny little bit at the end, but that was also good. He is really talented as a narrator. I'm currently reading the 2nd book in this series, which is kind of the sequel to this book. So I'll tell you about that next week, but he's really talented. Of course, Georgina Marie is too. So the narration overall was fantastic. This is a wonderful story about a boy and a girl who fall in love. And she is a waitress at a bar in a very small town off the coast, off the Atlantic coast of Georgia, a little ways up from Savannah. And so she lives in a house that has been owned by her family for generations, and she is she's orphaned. She was raised by her grandmother. Her grandmother's been gone a couple of years, and so she's in her early 20s, and she's at home kind of taking care of the house while her brother is in medical school. And as soon as he graduates, it's going to be her turn to go to art school. So she's at this bar one night, and in walks this movie star, and she doesn't recognize him. He's wearing a ball cap, and he's talking on, or he's not talking, but he's texting on his phone, and he's very to himself. And he is the it guy who is on the run, kind of. I mean, he has run away from a situation in Hollywood where there was a big blow up with his co-star and girlfriend, and so he just needs to put some space between it and him and figure out what he's going to do. So he's in town for 3 weeks, and so she, by some set of circumstances, realizes who he is and is absolutely determined that she is not going to fangirl all over this guy because she is not impressed. She is very much the best of this kind of character. She's not a girly girl in that she doesn't place a lot of importance and focus on hair and makeup and clothes and all that. She just is who she is. She doesn't need to be anything else because people love her. And she is very level-headed and very content with her life. She has great friends. She's well-liked, you know, all of the things. And so because she recognizes this guy, he swears her to secrecy. And so then it's the story of their romance. It's so good. It gets a little bit complicated, and things happen in such a way that they have to happen that way, but they look different on the outside looking in rather than what they actually are on the inside. And so I loved it. I laughed. There were times that were very poignant, and I just thought it was so well done. Natasha Boyd, where's she been as a romance author? I mean, why don't I know about her? Because I just loved it. So I'm currently reading the 2nd book, and we have a lot more of Jonathan McLean narrating, and then also Georgina Marie, and I love it just as much. It's so good. This woman Natasha Boyd can write a scene that is just, I mean, the only other author that I know can do this is Kristen Higgins. And so, yeah, what a pleasure. And there are 2 more books after the second book. So thrilled about that. They follow side characters. So that was last week. And I've had this Amazon gift card sitting there kind of waving its hand at me. Spend me, spend me. And I have a little bit here and there. And I finally resolved, you know what? I think I'm going to just go ahead and buy some books. So I did. So I want to show you what those are. And one of them came a couple of days ago, and I've left it in the packaging. So I'll open that up. But they are the sequels to the Iron Chronicles by Elizabeth Hunter. They are The Scribe and The Singer and The Secret. This is my favorite paranormal adult romance series of all time. It's got to do with the descendants of angels, and so good. So I ordered on Amazon book 4, which is The Staff and the Blade, and this is actually 4 separate novellas all combined into one book, which is why it's kind of chunky. And it is out on audio. These are all narrated by Zachary Weber, and this is somebody else. She got a different narrator, and I forget who it is. And then I got book 6, which is The Storm, and then I realized I had forgotten to order book 5. So then I ordered book 5, which is The Silent. So I have The Scribe, The Singer, The Secret, The Staff and the Blade, The Silent, and then The Storm. And then this past Tuesday, book 7 came out, and that is The Seeker. So let's see, how do I open this? These things that come from Amazon, I'm sure there's a way to do it. I think maybe you just do this. They always make it really hard. Okay. And there it is. Yep. This follows one of my favorite characters in the story. And so, yeah, this is The Seeker. So it's book 7. So I have the whole series now. I've got to get rid of something to put them all in there. Oh my gosh, they're beautiful. I love Elizabeth Hunter's writing. She does this vampire series that is just fantastic. And it's a long series, and so, you know, I got tired of it after a while, but I can highly recommend the 4 books that are the first 4. And I have one of those. I got it used at a Goodwill bookstore here. I don't know if I have, yeah, I do. It's The Force of Wind. This is book 3 in the Elemental Mysteries series. And so she's got other follow-up series with that. She's got the Elemental Mysteries and then the Elemental Legacy, I think. And I don't know. She goes on and on. But it's vampires, and they're really cool. But this series, that's, if you want to read good paranormal romance, that's what you should read. Also, she has a Facebook group, and she does like a 5-question Friday, which is really cool. And she just has a really interesting life. She's been all over the world and writes about it, and all of her books are set in various parts of the world, and it's just really cool. So, yeah, okay, that's that's enough, isn't it, for right now? I hope you have a great weekend. It's beautiful here. I know that the weather is cooling down everywhere else, but I am absolutely over the moon. That is really warm here. It feels like summer. And so, you know what? As much as I hated where I lived for the past 6 years, I love, 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 love where I live right now. I hope I live here until I don't live anymore. So anyway, that's it for now for me. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.